Good afternoon, everyone. I'll try to make this as good as possible beyond the curries and the salads that we've had. My name is Bhinoy Japher. I'm from Pune, India. The name of my institute or company is Teresa's Learning Center, or TLC as we abbreviate it. We are a Pune-based independent consulting firm that helps companies build individual, team, and organizational capability through effective communication. It took me a year to come up with this one-liner. I'm not good at marketing, I'm not good at sales, I'm good at talking. But precision is not exactly one of my fortes. I am verbose, so I paid companies to come up with this. But what it necessarily means is we help people express rather than impress. If you express correctly, you will impress automatically. And this works on an individual level. If the individual is working fine, the team will function. If the team is functioning fine, the company will progress. That's our approach. And it could either be a bottom-up approach or top-down approach. Either way, communicate effectively. Now, coming from India, where languages, we are every 25 kilometers, there's a different dialect. Across states, we have multiple languages. But there's one common language that runs through that even beats the more common language like Hindi, etc., is English. As much as everything else, it is something through which people can have the confidence built up, or they could also consider themselves maybe lacking in some strengths if their English is not exactly good. This being beyond the fact that their education is in English, the fact that they write their examinations, their professional degree in English. I am a child of immigrant parents who came from the southern state of Kerala. I grew up in Pune, born and raised there. English was never the primary language in my family. But it was through my own learning. I built up my confidence. Of course, my mentors and teachers were there. And I started working as a software engineer. I worked close to 15 years as a software engineer. I've lived in the States. But there was a consummate stigma or fear about the language English, because of which people not being able to communicate effectively. I asked myself, is it really just because not knowing the language? Is there a different aspect to it too? And I realized effective communication is not just knowing the language. It goes really intrinsic about how you feel about yourself. That was a learning point to which, okay, these are some of our companies that we have. As I said, I'm a software engineer, so the network that I had in the beginning was in the field of IT. We have ventured into production, at least past 3 years, and that's when COVID hit. But luckily, after first year, we've been able to again get up marketing and sales. So companies like Forasia, Globant, etc., which are more service and global companies, we've been able to tap them as well. Now, here is what I was trying to say. We offer both behavioral training and communication training. The point that I would want to focus out here is something called as need-based behavioral training. We really go into companies, we try to understand what their business goals are. Our entire trainings are tailor-made to the requirements or the goal that the company is trying to achieve. It's not one size fits all. What I do for IT is not going to be the same for a shop floor or someone who's working in production. That level of understanding and my business analysis that my team does is very critical for us to engage our customers. So that's the reason why I call it need-based behavioral training. And we excel at aligning our trainings to your business goals. There's an entire method and process that we go through. But this is how we make sure that the return of investment that a company makes with respect to time, effort, and money in our trainings, they'll be measured, and they will know that we've made a difference. So we have an entire process. I'll quickly take you through that. But I was talking about English earlier. TLC helps them get over the fear of language English. The irony of it is that my trainings are conducted in English. I conduct the training of teaching English in English. So we tell them that it's really simple. You got to look within yourself. Self-awareness. I remember, I forget the name of the gentleman, but he spoke about a lot of awareness-based training. We'll help individuals and teams understand their SWOT, their strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. We have our own assessment tools through which they will understand, okay, this is something that I'm doing right. Let me continue doing it. This is one of my risks. Let me work on it. Teaching English for us is more than learning. We have the concept of unlearning. What has happened is because they have shadow learned, they've been used to a couple of mistakes that they're making time and again. We just help them understand what the mistakes are and understand what is right. A very typical mistake is 2 past tenses. We didn't knew about this. It's like, I think it's more of an epidemic across India. Okay. Just going and telling them the two past tenses is wrong, and if you use do not take the past tense or second verb. It's as simple as that. And this one empowering goes a long way. We've done it both for tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 cities. What changes there is stories that come out, literally. We've had parents who've come back to us saying that they've been able to go into PTA meetings for the kids and they've been able to speak out there. And there's a beautiful movie in India called English Winglish, talking about a mother and a daughter relationship where the mother cannot speak really well in English. But this is where it has changed. I've had people come up and say, I have trained 3 visually impaired girls, and they have started working in banking after that. And they came back and they just said, so you just taught us to speak properly. We are able to express ourselves. So that's what TLC does. Apart from communication training, we give a variety of behavioral trainings as well. Now, what we've done out here is the typical programs that people give is a management development program or a personality development program. We've deconstructed this. We mentioned earlier that this goes as per the business goals. So a variety of topics. We have about 28 competencies, which can be picked and chosen by an individual or company depending upon the goal that they want to achieve. Very popular one is a cognitive bias. It's a very popular program that we give across all companies. One of the companies that we gave it, a gentleman came back to us and he said he didn't realize, but he did have a gender bias. And he used to think that if he hired a woman, she wouldn't be able to work really well because her commitment is always towards family. And he didn't realize that he had this in his mindset. But post the training, he went back to the HR and said, I'm not sure I'll be able to change myself so quickly, but do challenge my decision during hiring, that why didn't I hire this woman? Awareness is what we really do. There are compound competencies or like mentoring and coaching that could be deconstructed further into multiple competencies. Again, we will very clearly understand what the goal of the company or the team or an individual is and customize it accordingly. TLC's future plan, we've had a presence in these sectors so far: realty, IT, and manufacturing, and education as well. Education has been slight of a challenge because I think I'm not good of a salesman there. I go and speak to principals. They really love our pitch. They're really excited, but they go back to the board and they want a cheaper deal. And I was like, all right, I spoke to the wrong people, but I've not been able to get into the doors with the directors. I come from Maharashtra, so there's a Patil or a Chavan sitting out there. I'm not able to speak to them. The principal understands it. They understand my vision. They understand where we want to go, but the actual decision makers, I'm not been able to reach there. But we are finally making some progress into it. Where we want to go in the future, pharma. It's a very large sector. There's an entire upgrade in the way the medical representatives work. And they are looking at now it being more customer-centric. Every customer is now empowered with data. They know what is in their medicine and how. So earlier, the medical representative used to sell it to doctors, like sell this drug. But now is the patient who could come back and say, why are you prescribing me this drug? And these MRs need to now talk to customers or end patients. It's a very large market that we're trying to tap into. And of course, hospitality. Across, as I said, this is really for every company, every hotel, or from the smallest cafe across your home on your street to a big hotel anywhere in any major city. This is a very large requirement that we're trying to tap into. Where have we done it so far? We have, across major 10 cities, tier 1 cities primarily, we have Pune, Delhi, Bangalore, and also in Kochi, which is south of India. More than 5,000 trainees have been trained under TLC. Expansion plans, we plan to go into tier 2 and tier 3 cities. That's where mostly there's a large need, because now there's a lot of workforce coming from these tier 2 or tier 3 cities into tier 1 cities, and there's a large potential there too. We want to achieve 10,000 plus trainees by the end of this year. This is possible now because we are really going online as well as offline. People were wondering if online trainings is possible, and they were thinking probably by the end of this decade. COVID came along and it has become a reality. There's a large amount of acceptance, because of which it has become cost effective, and my costs were slashed more than 60%, still being very affordable and profitable to me because online trainings were happening. And now we're talking about blended learning as well, and it is really well received. Expansion plans beyond India, we're trying to acquire global clientele. I really hope something comes out from this Education 2.0 conference, and we want to train at least 3,000 plus international trainees by the end of this year. So I do not want to really go into the details of how TLC does this. There are a variety of topics. We are assessment driven. We first need to understand what your goals are. How we do that is detailed assessments. We have our own tools. That drives the program planning. The training is in the form of gamification, something what Mr. Samir spoke earlier. Our entire trainings are gamification. Until COVID hit, we did not have a single presentation, PowerPoint presentation for our trainings. But do-it-yourself, activity-based learning is what we did. And of course, individual assistance. And there's a post-assessment which is done, which will tell you the impact of your investment that the company's made. There's a lot of details here, but our overall testimonials from people are very positive, and I'm really proud of what I do. I'm very happy what I do. It was a big journey from being an engineer to taking this leap. Having a stable family really helped me a lot because I did not have the liabilities of taking care of my parents there. But it's been a long journey since 2012, and it's beyond exciting to be here. So thank you so much. All the best to everybody.
Round of applause. Thank you. Thank you so much.